My name is Sara Lewkowicz. I'm a photographer. I live in New York City, where I was born. A lot of my work focuses on issues surrounding gender, and I've brought a project called Maggie, which is a story that I started in graduate school about, among other things, about domestic violence. So Maggie, at the time when I met her, was living in Ohio with her 2 children and a guy named Shane, who was considerably older than her. I think she was 19 at the time and he was 31. And he was very controlling, we have a term in English called love bombing, and he was really like love bombing her, giving her a lot of messaging that we're taught to think is romantic, but it's not really romantic. It's about convincing the person that nobody else can love them and that you're the only one that sees the value in them. It's sort of a method of isolation. A lot of the photos in the exhibition have to do with the night that they got in a really terrible fight, and I just happened to be there. I didn't plan for the story to be about domestic violence. It just sort of happened in front of me and I reacted. But, you know, when I look back on the photos before all that happened, there were already a lot of signs of domestic violence. I wasn't perceiving them consciously, at least. But there's some very intense imagery, and I find it important to have these photos out there, even though I think for some people they can be pretty triggering. But I think it's important for people to understand that, you know, even though this is a very private type of violence, it happens a lot. It happens to women all over the world, regardless of their social class, regardless of their ethnic grouping, regardless of their race. You know, and the one thing that they all have in common is they all feel ashamed. They all feel it's their fault. They all feel they did something to bring it on themselves. And I think that it's really important to start changing the narratives that we have around domestic violence. And more than that, it's time to start not just condemning it, but really making infrastructure that enables women to leave. Because like some of the biggest reasons women stay in these relationships are like, there's very little infrastructure set up to help and protect them and enable them to leave. A lot of women don't leave because like, where are they gonna go? It's happening in their home. And as income inequality rises and housing instability rises, it just makes the problem worse and worse. I think anybody who was angry at me when the work was published is just going to feel angry with me. I don't think me winning a prize is going to change their mind. No, I don't. I think awards and things I'm very grateful for what I've been awarded, and they're very useful to put yourself, you know, in front of the people who want to hire you. But like, I didn't become a photographer to win things. I became a photographer to make the work. So whether or not I'm winning something, I'm gonna make work. Like, even if, you know, whether it's being sort of seen on that scale or not. So when I first started the story, it was really about how difficult it is for somebody once they've gone to prison to like stay out of prison. And I guess in a way it's still about that, although the story no longer was about him. And I always find that like, no matter what I do, I can't get people to stop calling the story Shane and Maggie, even though the story is not really about Shane. Shane is sort of incidental to the story. It's really about Maggie. But Yeah, it really more became about her journey than his. Like initially it was about his journey, but it changed very quickly into her journey. I haven't been in communication with him in 10 years. I mean, I'm glad, you know, I think too often I see women who are making really good work and they don't feel confident enough to apply for things and put it out there. Like, I once heard like in some sort of study they had, it was about job applications, and they had said in a job listing where there are like 10 requirements, women, if they only have 9 out of the 10 requirements, will not apply for the job, and men will apply for the job if they have like 2 out of the 10 requirements. So I'll see, and I've been a judge on several juries before, and I'll see, you know, like there's a lot of women don't apply with work that's very strong, that I've seen that's very strong, and I've, you know, like I've seen it over and over again. And then I'll see, like, disproportionately, there's a lot of men applying with work that, like, they don't really have any business applying for. It's not ready yet, or it's not sort of thought through enough or whatever. So I would love to see us get to the point where we don't need a women's festival, we don't need a women's competition, because we just have parity. But we're not there yet. Like, we're just not there yet. And I would love to see young female photographers, and also like non-binary. I would love to see young female and non-binary photographers feel more encouraged to apply with good work, you know? Like, if you're meeting 9 out of the 10 requirements, apply for the job, because there's some 22-year-old guy who's meeting 2 out of the 10 requirements who's applying for the job. Like, just go for it, you know?